This one sort of eases itself into the spooks, even though I as an individual would rather dive head first, but hey, it's number 10 for a reason. The Magic School Bus, for those who may not have grown up with it, was a show about a teacher who was a child endangerment case waiting to happen, and her magical living school bus who take their class on educational and potentially very dangerous adventures. It's honestly impressive that none of these kids were ever injured or eaten during any of these field trips, except of course for when they purposefully got eaten, but that's neither here nor there. Take chances, make mistakes, get messy? Sounds to me like expose yourself to radiation, blow yourself up, douse yourself in hazardous materials. Where are your credentials, Miss Frizzle? Your pet chameleon is not going to distract me from my line of questioning. God damn it, Liz is adorable though. In all honesty, I had two ideas for what to cover here, both coming from the episode set Creepy Crawly Fun on DVD and VHS. The episodes includes The Magic School Bus Spins a Web, the episode where Miss Frizzle risks getting her entire class eaten by spiders, The Magic School Bus Goes Batty, which is one about bats that I may talk about sometime in the future. It's decently spooky aesthetically, and, well, bats.
The only way to stop a teacher vampire is to drive a textbook through her heart!
And the one I'm the most nostalgic about, the one that, if this isn't a Halloween special, what is? The Magic School Bus in the Haunted House. So the episode starts off with all the class rehearsing for some school concert, while Carlos is busy planning for a bright future as a sound engineer. His instrument farts all over the place, and he has the typical artist's reaction.
What did I do wrong?
Kid, you're in like, what, elementary school? You never truly fully learn music theory. Here, Fruity Loops has a free Limitless demo. Open up a synthesizer plugin, maybe download some more stuff to play with, and start messing around. Start learning from there, and take your time. Stop trying to be Mozart overnight. So Miss Frizzle comes in, showing off, and some exposition is spilt. The concert is for a place called the Sound Museum, which I'd love to visit. Sounds like it'd be right up my alley. And they have a rehearsal there this afternoon. But they can't rehearse without Carlos's instrument producing a presentable sound.
That's the problem! I can hear the sound in my head, but what am I going to do?
Preaching to the choir, kid. I've been trying to work with this arpeggiator to produce this, like, glittery but warm sort of space organ or something. Why am I relating to Carlos so much in this episode?
Well, if you keep asking questions, Carlos, you'll keep getting answers.
Well, that's just blatantly false! So Dorothy freaks about being potentially late, and to Carlos's dismay, the class heads to the bus. Dorothy has a complete pessimistic mindset about the whole thing, and Carlos just tries to work on his instrument. Now, if you've noticed, this episode hasn't been very Halloween-y so far, but don't worry. The sun starts to set, and the sky darkens into a lovely orange. The dead trees are a lovely touch, but that's just the start. The bus overheats, giving Carlos a chance to work on his instrument as they move the bus along, night soon falling.
How about this? I wanted it to have the roar of a lion, so I gave it a mane.
It's a kitten, Carlos.
You want to try building an instrument, Dorothy Ann? You seem real uptight about this concert, yet you're not even attempting to help Carlos with literally the centerpiece of the entire affair? You sham? The atmosphere gets real spooky, making me wonder how much these kids' parents trust Miss Frizzle, and yet Carlos still can't manage to make his instrument sound right.
What was that? It wasn't me. It came from there.
So they roll up on this spooky-ass mansion, and it's finally time to really dive into haunted house aesthetic. Dead trees around the grounds, a crooked, jagged fence, gargoyles, overgrowth of vines, those spooky wind chimes are lovely, creepy topiary, creepy statues.
Kind of eerie, isn't it? Get it? Eerie?
Die! All I'm saying is that as an artist, my eye for design is drawn to every in and out of this setting. I love haunted house settings, the cobwebs, the darkness of an unlit room. It's also spooky and wonderful. Even a dark and spooky library filled with books. Not collections of words rather, but collections of sound, which is a very inventive idea.
Maybe one of these books was making the sound I heard. That's it! I don't need to know how this turns out.
So Miss Frizzle informs the class about the previous owner of the house, Professor Cornelia C. Contralto, an eccentric collector of sounds.
After she vanished, they turned her house, this house, into the Sound Museum.
So of course they missed the rehearsal and everyone had left prior to their arrival. But since they're trapped with no mode of transportation, Miss Frizzle decides to stay the night in the potentially haunted house.
What happened to her? No one knows.
It's almost as if someone were expecting us.
I'm not that privy to architecture, but I love buildings with this design scheme. That's mainly what I love so much about this episode. The designs are practically eye candy, and all the ideas are interesting and imaginative, even if it's just the good old haunted house formula. It's one of those Halloween staples that will always work. So they hear the creepy sound from earlier again, and Carlos is surprisingly bound and determined to find what's making it. You gotta admire someone so dedicated to their art. The rest of the class follows into one crazy room where Miss Frizzle had been yodeling, which leads almost immediately into a lesson about how sound is produced when vibrations are carried by the air. They use these goggles that can see vibrating air, but that only makes me wonder how that would look in real life. That'd have to be sensory overload. It's a basic lesson, clearly meant for kids, but it does its job explaining the concepts well. This helps Carlos realize what he needs to do to make his instrument sound good, but when he tries to return to fix it, it's missing.
It's gone! First, Carlos's instrument disappears. Then each of us, one by one.
Ralphie needs to lay off the horror movies. The sound is heard again, leading Carlos into a secret passageway, to which he uses his sound viewing goggles to find the source of the sound once and for all. Lady, that is not how a pipe organ sounds. Those pipes are for show. That's clearly a synthesizer. So in the end, this whole thing was set up by Miss Frizzle to teach the class about how sound works and get Carlos's instrument working for the concert. Really the biggest reason this is on the list is because I love the designs and the ideas behind the episode as a whole, which really isn't the first, nor will it be the last time you'll hear me gush about design throughout this month. Also, not to mention how extremely nostalgic this episode is for me. It's kind of unfair to the episodes that just barely miss the mark.